Hey, and we are live again. Another Mountain Readiness Monday coming at you from Appalachia, right here in good old North Carolina. Remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, click the little buttons, give us some love, make the algorithm gods happy with us so they shine down upon us and spread us around like we need. But tonight's going to be a good show. We've got a special guest here, someone who I look up to because they have, I will say that the largest preparedness event ever. Like, I don't think anybody has topped PrepperCon. So someone that I look up to and have talked to quite often over the past few years, but it's been about a year. But welcome to the show, Mr. Scott Stallings of PrepperTalk Radio.
Thank you, T. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for that intro. That's it's funny, I haven't done PrepperCon in years, but it was my baby. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but also the coolest thing I ever got to do.
No doubt. And that Humvee. I
actually saw that just, oh man. So that was a sponsored vehicle that they let me drive for the summer. I'm like, you're kidding me. You could just they wrapped it, they gave it to me. They're like, yeah, just take it for the next few weeks. I had a Dodge 2500 Dodge Ram, and I was getting the front end redone. The suspension went out, and Plan B Supplies like, hey, let's hook you up. You can't drive around your little wife's car and look tough.
Right.
Here you go. And I'm like, I'll take it all day long. That's all that matters.
Man, I gotta find somebody that hooked me up with some Mountain Readiness wheels like that. That's what I need.
Right.
What we got over here in the comments? Who we got? Man, we got a full house. There we go. Swordsman 007. Yes, the Poultry Whisperer. I have. It's been nonstop. Christy Renee. Mike's dad. Look, he's fine. We've got a full house up in here. Patrick 7. Patrick is always here. The guy has more time on his hands to watch these lives than anyone else I've ever seen in my life. But we appreciate you, Patrick. And I hear that Patrick is going to grace us with his presence this October is what he's shooting for. So hopefully we finally put a real face with the name for October event. Remember, guys, October the 17th through the 19th is Mountain Readiness Fallout. That is happening. And but the camping is going to be limited to RV because there's a bunch of stuff going on at the campground during the month of October. If you're tent camping, jump on in there and call the campground. You can go ahead and pay for it. If you're RV camping, we will open up what spots are available sometime next month. So, and remember also the Russ of Oz is not here tonight, so I'm running all my own media and clicking buttons and starring stuff. So remember, I don't know how to flip us off to the side there, Scott. Sorry, it just covers up our faces, man. Our official sponsor, Brush Beater. He will be back. We'll be doing more night vision craziness, night vision thermal IR, driving under IR in the vehicles in October. It's going to be awesome. So make sure to check out Brush Beater at brushbeater.store. Let's get this show on the road, y'all. Who all we got? Sandra. There's Sandra Davis. Sandra, another one that always comes and hangs out with us. Awesome. Deanna. Hey, we've got Prepper Talk. Oh, that was you. That was Scott. Me. I was like, hey, Prepper Talk Radio's up in here.
I'm sneaky.
Heck yeah. So let's dive into this, Scott, because, you were the founder of the biggest preparedness festival ever. And what did you say? How many thousand at your top? It was
our biggest one was just over 13,000.
13,000 people. That is, I cannot even imagine. That is just insane. How did you pull? So many moving parts. What did your staff look like for 13,000 people?
So we had about 80 volunteers who would work the show in exchange for some cool swag. They'd get entry into all the contests that we did, and then they got their own volunteer T-shirts at PrepperCon on it. But they'd run a 6-hour shift, either Friday or Saturday, and either morning or afternoon. But that was the bulk of it. My wife managed all of that. How she kept that organized, I was like, holy crap. But our team was 10 individuals. and 9 of them were very part-time doing it, and I was the only one full-time doing it. And so 85 to 90% of the workload fell on me.
Right. I feel your pain.
I had to shut down my real estate business for almost 6 months every year just to make PrepperCon happen. And I mean, I grew up prepping. I didn't know prepping was ever going to be cool. I just thought, and I didn't even know it was called prepping. Like, I just was like, oh yeah, food storage, bug out bags. Like, we just called them our 72-hour kits. And like, I could go into all the crazy, but like, PrepperCon came as a result of when people found out I prepped, they're like, what do I need to do? Can I just show up at your house? And I'm like, no. I'm like, you show up at my house, you're going to meet one of my bean friends. That's not a bean, but pew pew, right? We're on YouTube, so you got to be careful what I say. But like, I was just like, no, you don't come to my house, but I will teach you everything you need to know. And then that spawned into a conversation with the co-founder. His name is Josh, and he and I sat and talked about all the preparedness expos we'd been to and how garbage they were.
Right.
Like, we're here in Utah, and Utah is like really one of the biggest like populations of people who prepare, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like, they're here, right? And that's like the biggest thing they teach is self-reliance. And so everyone is used to these expos here in Utah where you'd go, and honestly, it was like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, you know, the teacher who's like, Bueller, anyone? Bueller? Like, it was an old lady on stage sounding just like that. And she's just like, canning, anyone? It was so unengaging, so not exciting. They'd have like 40 vendors, and it was the same event center we use, but it was just boring. And it's funny because like all these things are things that everyone needs to know, and that we've gotten farther and farther and farther away from the last 70 years. And like, nobody knows how to cook. The newer generation, if it's not reheating in a microwave or pulling it out of the freezer, they don't know how to prepare a meal. Like, so when things go sideways, they're going to poison themselves accidentally and die because they don't know what to eat, right? And so that's kind of where
botulism is a thing.
Yeah. Glass canned foods you got to worry about. It's everything else because you don't know what you're doing. But it kind of spawned, like, Josh and I had this conversation about like, there needs to be an event that's cool, that's fun, that's like, that has education, but it's the education we want. We want how to operate and manufacture all of your own goods and durable clothes, and how to make a smokehouse, how to create an aquaponic system, like how to do real homesteading, because everybody in Utah wants to garden, but they don't. How to do all the different things, how to forage and bring in experts, but then also have all the coolest vendors there.
Yes.
And so our first year, I thought my goal was to have 5,000 people there. Had the marketing plan, and to get any vendor to sign up was near impossible. They're like, we've never done a show. There's no one that will get that many people there. And it's like, oh man, this is going to be tough. Until I got my medic. At the time, they were a different company under different ownership. It was Minuteman Medic. And they came along, and I met with them probably 8 times and convinced them to be a sponsor. And as soon as I got them, the floodgates opened on vendors, and we sold out on vendor space 3 times. And I was just like, what is happening? This is amazing. So we expanded the hall. It was fantastic. But we had almost 10,000 people that first year. Like, wow, we were 3 shy of 10,000 people. And I was like, what just happened? And
that's all a kick to the teeth.
Right? All the vendors came back. This is the biggest show we've ever been to. How many people were at the gate? And I'm like, I'm still waiting for the count. And they're like, this is amazing. And I'm like, sales say at least 8,000. And they're like, what? And so it was huge. It blew me away. And it was hard. Like, I tell you, the week of PrepperCon, it's only a 2-day event, but I didn't sleep for the 4 days leading into it or the 2 days of it, because there's so much to do at the last minute, just like things falling apart, trying to put it back together. It was insane, but it was awesome. So we did it again 2 more times.
2 more. Glutton for punishment. I find myself in the same spot. And it is, I found that doing an event is the week before and the week after, you just don't sleep. Because the week before is getting everything set up, and what we're doing without all the outdoor classes is, I set up, like, I think I had 10 or 12 tents or something like that I set up on top of other structures and buildings that we had. So, it was like the first 1 week of preparing, some preparedness for preparedness, and then a week of just tearing it down and cleaning up trash. And then, of course, the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, is emptying trash, running around, taking care of, putting out fires. The microphone doesn't work over here, blah, 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 blah. So, it's a lot. It's a lot, but 13,000, like I can't even imagine. Like that 1,000, we didn't expect to hit. We didn't expect to hit 1,000 because it all the ticket sales come in like last minute. So I was I didn't even I told a bunch of the help that couldn't make it. They're like, man, we can't make it. It's like, all right, it's cool. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big deal anyway. And then of course we go couple hundred over what I anticipated, and then it's just me, myself, and a couple buddies and my wife. So we didn't sleep for days. It was the same deal. You just don't sleep.
Well, I learned like you can't market these events more than 4 weeks out. Like you can tell people it's coming, but don't spend a dime on marketing until 4 weeks out, because otherwise it's no one sees it or hears it quite right because the date's too far out. They're like, whatever. But all the money we spent in the last 3 weeks was golden, because all of a sudden on the day of the event, the doors are locked because it's an indoor event. There was a line out the front and down across the next 2 venue halls next to us waiting to get into PrepperCon. And I was like, holy crap. Because we'd only sold like 800 tickets online. The rest of them were at the door. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is insane. Grief. And the thing that made all of it worth it was, as people were leaving the event, most people bought 2-day passes, but as people were leaving the event, primarily on Saturday, every conversation I had, every comment I got from people, they were like, are you the guy that created this? Is that you? Is it you? Are you Scott? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, thank you. And I'm like, oh, you're welcome. They're like, no. Like, there have been events and they've all been they've all been garbage. And I've tried to get my kids to come, or I've tried to share this with my neighbors, and no one would come. And we came to this yesterday, and we were so stoked and so excited. We went back and told all our friends, like, this is huge. You've got to come. This is the most incredible thing we've ever been to. And then their friends and family would come on Saturday, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that's what prepping was. I didn't know I needed to do that. Oh, you could do that. Oh, that's part of this. Oh, there's homesteading. There's firearms. We had swords there. Like, people got whatever their interest level was, because people think prepping is just the apocalypse. I'm like, dude, that's like, that's part of it. That's a portion, but that's the least likely event that we face every day. The most likely event we face every day is loss of a loved one, loss of a job, a disability. Those 3 are like the sweet spot of, you prep for those. Guess what? It corresponds to almost everything else and builds resilience across your whole world. And once they realize that everything else kind of crosses over, they're like, okay, I can get into this. And
yes,
over 3 years, we helped over 36,000 people get better prepared. And I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing. And then I sold it. I don't know if that was the greatest thing to do or not, because it kind of wrecked my life to sell it. But I was done. I was like, I've got to move on. I've got to take care. We just had a baby, and I'm like, we got to take care of the wife and kid. And now I've got 2 kids, and they're 8 and 6. And I'm like, holy crap, where's time gone?
Maybe it's PrepperCon time again.
I don't know. I got to move first. we might revisit that, but I sold it, so I don't have any of the naming rights. So we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like you've got your stuff together. You come up with something. I mean, PrepperCon was good, but you never know. The second round, it could be something even better. So how did you, I mean, where did preparedness start for you? That's what I want to know. I mean, growing up as a child, I mean, did your parents, was this the normal lifestyle?
Well, I didn't know until 5 years ago that my grandpa had a bunker, like a full-scale, full-on bunker.
Sweet.
I thought it was just a storage room with a weird door. So this is in Idaho. I'm originally from Idaho. And my grandfather, crazy man, like psycho, just monster of a person, but also really, really wise. he had built, because he was in World War II. He watched the news and was like, this is back when the news still told the truth. He's like,
right. Some of it
crazy,
anyway.
right? So he built his house with a bunker, but that was his storage room. And that storage room had its own air system. It had everything and it was fully concreted in below ground. I didn't realize what it was. We'd play in it as kids.
Right.
And
just thought it was a spacious root cellar.
Yeah. I'm like, this is amazing. And that's where all the food storage was. That's where all the backpacking gear, the camping gear. And we were avid backpackers, campers growing up, like my mom's family and my dad's, but they were all first generation off the farm. And so I thought gardening was normal. I thought foraging and scavenging were normal things. Like growing up, we'd go foraging while we're camping. Hey, what's this?
Right.
Can you eat it? What can you use this type of tree for? What can you do? So we'd talk about those things all the time. I thought that was normal until I moved to suburbia outside of Denver, Colorado. And all of a sudden, everyone had no food storage, had no garden, had no skills. And I'm like, what happened?
Right.
And so when I was 10 or 11, I think I was 10 or 11, my parents, like, they were awesome, but I didn't have a whole lot to go off of. We were pretty poor at the time, but I read My Side of the Mountain for school, and I was like, I'm running away. Like, that's decided. Thankfully, my mom got me into Boy Scouts back when it was still cool. And
when it was boys.
Right. Yeah, all I cared about was the survival merit badge. Like, that's all I wanted. And the leader's like, no, dude, you got to do everything else too. And I'm like, no, this is what I want. I'm going to run to the woods. Thankfully, I never did, because I probably would not have fared well. But man, that's kind of where I got it and why it's always been important to me. But I didn't know this was anything special. Fast forward another decade or so, like I was living in Arizona and I was working for the University of Phoenix as a recruiter, and all of a sudden this TV show pops on the scene called Doomsday Preppers. And I'm like laughing at the commercials. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Like, what? And I go and I start watching it, and I'm like, everything they're doing, it was a little crazy because of the way they intentionally portray it. But I'm like, everything these guys talked about is like, yeah, I'm prepared for that. Yeah, I've always been aware of that. Oh yeah, this is not this is not what normal people think about, but smart people do. Like, that's what was coming to mind. And I'm like, we're called preppers?
Yeah.
And so I had that conversation with my parents, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's basically someone who's self-reliant. And they're like, well, yeah, we've always been that. That's what we believe, right? I'm LDS and they're LDS. And so it's like that's historically what we did. What's funny is we were the best preppers for the longest time. And now, like, I look around and there's so many of them that just have no clue. They're not doing anything. They're not doing food stores. Like, we've gotten very, very lazy, not just as a society, but that the church there, like, it's scary how unprepared most people are.
You know, I think Doomsday Preppers really was one of those shows that put such a bad taste in people's mouth in the prepping community. Like, like you said, they intentionally took people who were, doing the prep. And there was some interesting individuals in that show, I'm not going to lie, but they spun it like, look at these tinfoil hat nut jobs, and really, the prepping thing, like, and everything there, that was when, anything you said, New World Order, all of a sudden you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a prepper, you're a tinfoil hat person, yada, 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 yada. Now, fast forward, 25 years, something or other later, and all this stuff that we were getting beat up for then now has come full circle right back around and becoming more mainstream. I mean, preparedness, especially with these natural disasters that we're seeing.
Well, right. And that's the primary reason to have a plan, right? You create a plan of around your preparedness so that you know what you're going to do when things go sideways, i.e. the job loss, i.e. natural disasters, right? i.e. whatever it could be. Like, and that's where I've always been, is in the planning side of things. Like, I was the emergency planning coordinator for so many different churches growing up. From the time I was 21 on, I'm technically that now at my church. And I'm so over it because I'm like, nobody listens. I'm like, guys, this is what you need to do. Yeah, nothing will happen. I'm like, guys, we had a windstorm 2 years ago that were knocking trees down in our neighborhood. that were like 60 and 80-year-old trees that we then had to clean up and make sure they weren't hurting people, landing on people, checking for wounded. Like, that's why we prep. How many of them had chainsaws? 3 of us, right? How many of us had gas for our chainsaws? 2 of us.
Right. How many had a blade that was sharp?
Right. Like, you need something. Anybody have an axe? No, I've got 3. Here we go. Like, I was about ready to break out my cross saw that was my grandfather's. Like, he's got a big old 8-foot crosscut saw that he gave to me. I was about ready to break that out and be like, all right, guys. But I knew there'd be heart attacks if people tried to use that. Like, they're just not in shape. They don't have a plan. And so I still try to help people. And that's primarily why I continue to do the podcast, PrepperTalk Radio, because the messaging needs to get out there. Like, I'm not the best prepper. I'm the best at getting events together until you beat me. Like, I still have the OG status until then. But here's the thing, is like, I'm a gateway drug of prepping. I get people excited about it. And then they go down the rabbit hole and they get super stoked, and like, they go whichever area they want to focus on, and that's where they go from there. But I'm really good at getting people excited and engaged into prepping and start thinking of different things that need to be prioritized. That's my gift, right? You've got an amazing gift of putting together some of the best courses I've ever seen and having way better hands-on training than we had at PrepperCon. Like, way better.
And we talked about it, and I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot, especially coming from you, because you guys, I mean, you guys killed it there in Utah. That was insane, just the numbers, the sheer magnitude alone of what you guys put together in such a short amount of time.
True, but you got to remember, there's more than the number at the door. The most important facet is the education that they get while they're there. And we did great with that, right? We had a lot of classes, but you've got hands-on to the ability that we could never do. Like, we were indoors. Like I told you before the show, I'm like, we couldn't just process the chicken in there. We didn't have the right food handling permit, right?
Right.
Right. Like, so many gray areas that we get close to but couldn't jump into. But those are the courses people need. Like, I grew up not processing my own food. I grew up canning, and I grew up growing food, but not processing anything live until I was out on my own. And I still remember vividly the first chicken I processed and the first rabbit I processed. All the rest of them are kind of gray. Like, I don't remember those as much, but the first of each of those, dude, that's having not done it my whole life. And I'm like 35, and I'm like, I need to learn this.
Right.
And here I am doing it.
Never too late.
And I'm like, what I wasn't ready for, though, was the overwhelming hit of gratitude that the life of this chicken was purely to feed me and my family.
For sure.
We cared for it, right? We took care of it. We fed it. We made sure it was clean. It was safe. And then we processed it. And I, doing it myself, I was like, wow, this is how it was meant to be. It wasn't supposed to be going to the store and buying the plastic container full of chicken that's been processed and dipped in who knows what.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be hands-on.
Oh, absolutely. What blew my mind was first time I ran a chicken plucker. Like, we plucked by hand when I was a kid, so it was dipping in the scalder and ripping feathers out or just skinning it out completely. Like, that was the most horrible job, was plucking chickens by hand, and so now we've got the commercial grade plucker where you can throw 2 or 3 chickens in there and, 30 seconds, it spits out a completely, naked chicken, featherless and ready to go. And I'm like, man, why we not have one of these when I was a kid? And now it's like, oh yeah, that's right. We didn't have power. We didn't have electricity. Yeah. That's why we didn't have one of these when I was a kid. So, but that blew my mind, because that was a pretty normal thing, go grab a chicken and pluck it out and process it. And then, I mean, it was in the frying pan the same day that we killed it. But no, you're right. Animals, there's a relationship with all the animals that you get when you raise them for food, because it is. I mean, they're giving their life for you. And there is a lot of attachment there as well. I love my turkeys, and we actually had a turkey get caught in the fence today. I don't know if he's going to make it. I'm trying to nurse him back to health, but it's one of those things like, you could just take it and put it down and call it a day. But at the same time, it's a life, and it deserves to live a good one. And that's where we went wrong too. You talk about plastic containers of chicken and stuff like that. These big, huge corporations that now those that feed the world. I mean, it's the most disgusting and inhumane thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to name any of those names, but it's horrible. Like, and not to mention all of the like you said, spraying them down, the drugs that they pump them through, antibiotics, all the kind of stuff just to keep them alive because of the conditions that they live them in.
Yeah.
But no, you nailed it, man. That homesteading and raising your own livestock, that's a huge thing. And you grow attached to those animals, and you live, it's like your little children that you raise up. But yeah, they give their life for you. And that's just like a overwhelmingly awesome thing. You just have to show that respect for them.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it too is like having a garden, having animals, like having those responsibilities is so much more peaceful, so much higher quality of life. I saw a stat, and I wish I could remember right off the top of my head, but it was like gardening actually increases your lifespan.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't eat the food. But there was a stat that gardening will actually increase the length of your life and the quality. Even if I was like, and you don't even have to eat the food, I'm like, I'm in. And this is like my second year without a garden. I thought we were going to sell our house last year. So I took down my greenhouse. If I don't have the greenhouse up, the deer eat everything. Like we've got deer in our yard all the time. So I'm like, if I'm still here when SHTF happens, like I've got prime food right in the front yard as long as I can get to it before the neighbors do. Right.
Right.
But I'm ready to go, but I got to keep my garden safe. And the only way I could do that was with this high tunnel greenhouse. And it was awesome. Like I learned so much running a greenhouse. It's harder than gardening because of how hot it is here. And so I was like trying to keep it cool so things wouldn't burn and overheat, but it kept the moisture in and it kept the deers out, which was great. I just got the first year was so hard trying to keep it cool enough. I could not figure it out.
Building, I mean, our thing is just our 40 acres here in the hills it was all woods. And so for the past 10 years was just clearing and trying to establish good permaculture, because when Mother Nature, you get to borrow this stuff, it takes it all back in the end, and so it has, the past 10 years was just clearing out and metric tons of mulch and compost just to build up to where we actually are growing things now because the first couple of years it was either deer, like you said, deer was eating us out of house and home. Like we couldn't keep anything growing, or the ground just so much red clay and crap that you couldn't grow it. I mean, it was like trying to dig into concrete and grow something. I mean, it was horrible. So, preparedness, man, people watch these, homesteading shows and like, yeah, I'm going to move out into the woods and I'm going to do this. And then, you get out there and the realism sets in. Oh yeah. And there is a ton of work on the back end that you don't see on social media.
Well, and we're so spoiled society wise, like we don't have the work ethic that it requires to homestead.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if it's that, Scott, though. I mean, when you think about it, our forefathers, homesteading was their life. Like that was their job. And now in this day and age, it's like, they don't want us to raise our own food. They want you to go sit in a cubicle for 8 hours, 10 hours a day. The best part of your week spent being a good worker ant and not have the time to go out there and put your hands in the dirt for just the connection with nature.
They've destroyed our ability because we work this 9 to 5 or longer. They've destroyed our ability to actually handle having our own homestead because of that. Right. It used to be, you go back 100 plus years, like everyone homesteaded. And then everyone had typically during the winter a skill set that they would use to create money that then they would sell in the spring, things like that, right? So like I had a great grandfather who was a trapper. He would trap, and then up until a certain point in the winter, he would stop trapping, and then he would just work tanning for the rest of the winter until spring. Then he'd hike out, and then he'd go trade in Montana and Idaho where he was, and then he'd go start trapping, and he'd do stuff over the summer. But it was interesting because he's like, I was bored most of the time because you're waiting for the tanning process to go, right? You're waiting for other things to happen. So he's like, so I would whittle, and he learned that he got really good at it. And so then he'd sell toys. So it's like, okay, cool. Like, but it's like, he didn't have a 9-to-5. He would die if he didn't have all the stuff he needed by barter, trade, or grow it, or catch it, or process it himself, right? And we don't live like that anymore. Now we don't survive if we don't DoorDash, right? Like, we got to have the food delivered to our houses. Like, here in Utah, it's funny because there are some like legit gangster style like preppers. Like, I've got some of the best around me, but for the most part, I have the worst of the worst. Who think because mom and dad prepped or grandma and grandpa prepped, they got us all covered. How are you going to get to grandma and grandpa's house or mom and dad's house? Like, what's your plan? And is everybody going there? Does grandma and grandpa know everyone's coming there? And then there's also the group that's like, well, the Latter-day Saint Church is here, so if things go sideways, they've got humanitarian aid. They can take care of all of us.
Right.
How?
Yeah.
Right. So they've got that same like misbelief, that disconnect, where there's a lot of people in America that are like, and even the world, they're like, well, my government will help protect me. They will provide resources. I'm like, look what just happened in Hawaii a few years ago. What's happening in Texas? Now? What happened in North Carolina? Like, how quick were they to respond? How fast did you have resources? And what did you do in between? Right.
Weeks,
months, years,
weeks like, without.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hawaii. I mean, no one even talks about Hawaii anymore. I personally don't even know what's going on down there, but I know that it's just nothing exists anymore. It's all burnt to the ground. And I think a lot of the families are still living in like little huts and tents, waiting to, well, I'm sure they're fighting those certain companies.
Well, they're living in, so the last I checked a couple months ago, they're living in temporary housing. And the average cost for the temporary housing per unit is almost $700,000 that they spent on those.
Gosh.
And they're going to charge these people, the longer they stay there, rent. But they're also still paying mortgage on their land that they can't get resolved or paid out because the insurance companies won't process and the local government won't facilitate the process. They're still saying they're investigating, so you can't return and build.
Right.
Can't even get a building permit. So they're completely homeless, living in whatever they can fit in. A lot of them have moved in with family so that they're not incurring new costs. But it's messed up. And it's the overreach of the government forcing them out, trying to steal their land. Like, point blank, being screwed.
Communism. Point blank, it's communism. And Patrick, what do you mean? You mean BlackRock? You mean BlackRock is buying up all that land down there? No. Say it isn't so. There's no way that's happening.
There's communities all over America that BlackRock already bought out that are sitting vacant.
Oh yeah. Here in Kings Mountain, or over in South Carolina line right there. That's the lithium mine.
Yeah.
And they are BlackRock and Vanguard pulled all the contracts and everything for that right prior to, right before Hurricane Helene come through. And I mean, you can say what you want to about the, weather manipulation, which I've watched. I'm sure you've seen some of this stuff where the CEO of that company there has already admitted, 2 days prior to Texas that they seeded the clouds, but they didn't do it. It wasn't anything we did. It wasn't us, which maybe it's not, but it sure is quite the coincidence.
Very suspect at the very least.
Yes. So, but that brings us back to why should you prepare? Because, in the world that we live in of instant gratification and the abilities to just, I remember in Chicago, the boroughs, and people shop daily. Like they literally never leave their burrow. Their job is within a few blocks. Their apartment is in from a few blocks of that. The delis and the restaurants are all right there. You know, it's just, you got little, we used to go, I've had a friend of mine who is a Russian guy, first generation Russian. So we used to go down to, little Odessa and, the little Ukraine and, shop but watching these people, shop daily and literally have nothing in their refrigerator, nothing at their home to except for maybe some ketchup and condiments, and maybe some bread. They live day to day. What did you think about Philadelphia with the trash thing? That reminded me of the Reagan administration back in the day.
It's not good. What's funny is like, what got you into prepping, or what makes sense about prepping, is watching those things happen. Like that makes prepping makes so much sense. A lot of times people are like for example, I remember when people were going crazy over Y2K. Like I was prepped and ready to go, but I was not at all worried about it. I had zero.
No, we had a party.
Everybody
we had a party that night.
And what's funny is like it came and went, nothing happened. Most events are like that, right? But it's the ones you don't expect. Like for example, my before I was born, there was a big, huge dam that broke in Teton. It was the Teton Dam up in Idaho. My family's from up in that area, and it completely decimated the area, like decimated, took out homes, killed a lot of people. But what's crazy is when the government finally showed up to help, they were met with, okay, here's what I need you to do. And then the people are like, yeah, we already did that. And then they're like, well, wait. Okay, so then if that's done, here's what I need you to do. And the local leadership's like, no, we did that already. And after 3 or 4 tries of that, they're like, okay, what do you need help with? And the people are like, oh, finally you ask a smart question. They live the preparedness life, right?
Yeah.
So even though the dam flooded everything and destroyed everything, like they had a plan, right? They had a plan of action. They knew what they needed to do. First, check on everybody. Get everybody to safe places. And then let's reallocate schools. Let's reallocate whatever we can for people to stay. Let's create a hospital at the grade school. Let's create the high school is a place where everyone's going to stay. In the meantime, like they put everything into play. And so nobody missed meals. Nobody had to sleep on the ground outside or if they didn't want to. They had everything taken care of. Why? Because the community was prepared together. Exactly. And now it's smaller. It's like you have to be prepared with your family. So if something happens in my neighborhood, I've got to have a plan. I've got to know where I'm going to go outside my neighborhood. Am I going to leave the city? If I'm leaving the city, who am I going to stay with? I've got to coordinate that in advance so they know if something goes sideways, I'm coming. And then I'm not going to deplete their resources, but then I'm going to bring resources with me, or I'm going to take stuff there now so it's ready. So I've got right now in my planning, I've got outside the city, outside the county, and outside the state already locked in. I've got people that I'm going to be with in every one of those locations, and I've got resources already there. Right?
That's it.
And that's
pace plan.
If you don't have a plan, you're dead in the water.
Every single time.
Yeah, you don't know you're going to freeze. We all think we can rise to the occasion, and the truth is you fall to your highest level of training. And no one's training.
Well said. Good old Carl Erickson, tactical rifleman. I mean, that's his thing. Every time we get on the range, it's, you fall to your level of training. And it is true. You're never going to be as awesome as what you thought you were going to be. It's how well, I always envision like, yeah, I'm going to kill this. And like, womp, womp, womp. Not so much. It's how much training you put into it. I just posted a thing today too on Mountain Readiness about, and when SHTF, everybody says they're coming to your house, and it's more of a joke is what I put it on there. Like if, there's plenty of people that show up to my house, I'm going to at least make sure they're resupplied. But at the same time, I preach over and over again that to build your tribe and community and to establish those relationships before it's something catastrophic, but because people's guard is up when stuff goes sideways. Like, that's not the time to make friends with your neighbor. That's not the time to talk about, hey, if something happens at my place, I come to your place, I bring supplies, vice versa, yada, yada. Everybody, anybody coming up the driveway at that point, if I don't know you, get ready. Like you said, the red dots, look for those red dots because they're coming. Right. And it's the true. You can't trust people at that point because desperate people do very desperate bad things. Even good people, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And it's funny because like most people have this false sense of their own skill set or their own ability. I call it the John Wick syndrome. They watch a movie and they think I could do something like that. I could do enough to get by, right? They think the bad guys are going to come and they're going to be able to do whatever they want because they've seen a movie or they've taken a couple classes, and a couple classes will not save you. 1,000 or 2 hours can. 10,000 will, right? Unless the odds are stacked completely against you. But it's like if you have zero training, you have zero chance.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I try to do some sort of training with someone else once a month. Nice. I train out here on my own. Try to do that weekly. I need to do it daily. If you can fit it in daily, great. But, and at the same time, I mean, we do train when you're homestead. I mean, we're growing gardens, we're taking care of livestock, we're chopping firewood and stacking, and we're doing all the things to stay alive because that's just as important as the other training. In fact, it's more important, but,
gives you an unfair advantage too.
Yes.
Like this is normal. Your everyday is training, whereas everyone else who's plugging the 9 to 5 and not growing a garden and not processing their food, when things go sideways, what are they going to do? Right. They're going to scrounge for tin cans that may or may not be there.
May or may not. Yeah. If they've actually stuck those aside. So no, you're right. That's I tell you, there's something to be said too. And you brought this up just the show was about, 3 of you had a chainsaw, 2 of you had some gasoline, maybe, and then I said maybe 1 had a sharp chain. Tools, like I'm a big tool guy. I've got, I was a mechanic by trade. I've run my own construction business. And so there is literally tools from the floor to the ceiling, and every nook and cranny. I've got outbuildings I've got too many tools. I will say it. I have too many tools. They're just everywhere. But, I think that's something in the preparedness movement that people, they overlook, is how do you fix and maintain what you have? Because food depletes in a couple days, but nuts, bolts, screws, zip ties, building materials, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I have abundance of this, and then I also have woods around me that I can cut down and utilize too. But there's a lot of people who have a bug out vehicle, but they've never patched a tire in their life.
Right. And they don't have a tire patch kit either.
And they don't have a tire patch kit either because they've never used one,
So what's funny is, like, you talked about all the tools and the knowledge of knowing how to use them, right? One of the things I do is I try to learn something new every quarter. I focus on something different that I'm learning. And I've failed so hard on comms. That's one of my gaps.
Yes.
I've been working on my ham license off and on for 2 years. And I'm just like, I got to get this thing done.
Same.
I went and got GMRS radios and trained myself up on those, got the license. I'm like, cool, good, got it. And that's a short-term solution, and it's also a short-range solution, but it's better than nothing, right? And so working towards the knowledge on how to use all those tools is key. And also the other thing is not all tools are valuable to you post SHTF, right?
You got it.
If you're all electric tools and you have no electricity, nice paperweight.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good luck with that.
Yeah. Hand tools are going to be very, very valuable. I've got hand drills. I've got hammers, nails. Like I've got screws and my drill guns and all that other fun stuff too. But I'm stockpiling nails because I'm going to have to board up windows or repair roofs. And I've got different types of nails. And I grew up doing that. My dad's a general contractor. So I was free labor sometimes. but not everybody
Absolutely.
has that advantage, right?
Well, I think that's a huge part. Like, during the Depression, my father was born in 36. So he was the tail end of the Depression. My grandfather lived throughout the entire Depression. And, my father catching the end of the Depression, growing up with him, we were exposed to that type of lifestyle and mentality. Like, you wasted nothing. You didn't waste anything on your plate of food. When we pulled all the nails out of the pallets that we tore down that we got for free, every nail was straightened and put in a bucket and saved for later. So that was how I grew up. I had a friend come over just a few days ago, and he was like, "Man, what do you have all this crap for?" And it kind of is like, even my wife, Amber would be like, "You've had this for 15 years and you still haven't used it." But I promise you one day, and then it's out of nowhere, I'll be like, "Hi, see that? I've had it for 15 years, but I finally used it." And it's things like that preparedness people forget is like, if stuff goes sideways, you're not just going to go down to Lowe's and grab you some shingles and patch that roof.
There's a video or a handful of videos that went viral a year ago, where the guy's like, "Man, if only I had a piece of wood this long, about yay thick." And the other guy's like, oh, runs off to his little shop, digs through everything, pulls out this one little piece of wood. He's like, "I knew I saved you for a reason," right? What's funny is like everyone makes fun of that and laughs at that, but it's like, it does come in handy. Having extra supplies, like seeds are one of those things that people don't have. A lot of people don't have. They never gardened. They don't have seeds. What are they going to do when they have to grow their own food? Right.
That's it.
In a community, like I'm urban right now, right? Or suburban. I'm suburban. And so it's like, I've got to grow something, right? I've got to have something I can develop and grow to feed myself. And I have a short growing season. So I've also got to look at, okay, what can I do in my city limits? What am I allowed to do? I can have rabbits. I can have up to 5 chickens. I can't have a rooster, air quotes, right? But what they don't know I can get away with a lot of stuff, right? Quail are completely unregistered. Like, they don't care. I can have as many quail and rabbits as I want. There's no restriction on ducks. Dude, when I move and I get some land, I'm getting runner ducks because you can get as many eggs, if not more, than a chicken. They're bigger, so they're higher in protein. There's other benefits and factors, and they're better foragers than chickens. So I'm like, sweet. I'm going quackers. Like, it's so many things, right? That is a great video, Matthew. There's so many things that, like, if you're not doing it now, start, because when it's needed, it's too late. The old adage, like, when the moment hits, the time for preparation has passed.
That's it. That's it. You're already done before you got started at that point.
Yeah, your goose is cooked and you're the goose.
And you brought up seed storage, and I tell you, I'm pro seed storage, but I'm against only seed storage. Like, people are like, I've got, and let's be honest here. I pulled some seeds out that were over 10 years old, and they actually germinated and grew, that's impressive. That's impressive. But if your preparedness is only stockpiling seeds for if you're not gaining that knowledge of growing, because there's a lot of stuff to growing that tomato plant that, when you're talking about blight and too much water, not enough water, all these variables, like, you need to be learning prior to. You don't want to be learning how to grow that tomato plant when you need that tomato plant to grow.
And how to obtain the seeds and take care of the seeds and store the seeds that you get from that tomato plant. Like, you got to understand what you're doing before the final test, right?
Right.
You can't learn in the final test.
And for everybody out there that's living in town, and look, you got a windowsill. Like, throw a tomato plant in a pot on that windowsill. Like, that's completely legit. Whatever we grow, we try to pull the best of the fruit out. I'm sure you do the same thing. I'll pick, like, this is my best beefsteak tomato plant, and so I'm going to pull seeds from this. And so, that plant, I take the best of the best, pull the seeds from it. That's my seeds for next year. We still buy seeds that we keep, and, sometimes we're like, we missed the boat on our cold weather crop of greens. We're going to miss that this year. So next year we'll utilize these seeds, but grow that stuff, pull seeds from it, and start learning how to store your own seeds. Because once again, you may not be able to go down to Lowe's and grab you a pack off the shelf.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny though is your older seeds will actually germinate better than your newer seeds.
Yeah,
because your newer seeds have been exposed to more toxins. And
oh yes,
I didn't know that, so I was about to start using a lot of my old seeds, and I actually took a course, and the guy's like, "No, save those, because even if they're 20 years old, they still have a better chance of germination than a packet of seeds you bought in the last 5 years."
Right, unless it's something that you grew that you didn't spray hose down with a bunch of chemicals. Because we have went 100% non-GMO heirloom seeds. Our fruit trees are all, no hybrid stuff. Mm-hmm. Everything is, grafted from, we utilize a company out of California. It's, basically everything that we're doing of root stock of these trees some of them are 500 years old,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean they've literally been keeping that shekel pear tree rolling for the past 500 years. Wow. So it's Trees of Generations, I believe, is the name of the company. Awesome place, and they're way more resilient to bugs and parasites and all the stuff that destroys them. So we've gotten away from anything of hybrid GMO. We go all heirloom, the stuff that's been around for hundreds of years and still rolling strong. But that there, guys, like, grow something. I mean, if you just got a pile of seeds, man, throw it in a pot, stick it in the windowsill, and start flipping those seeds. It's easy, man. Right now, YouTube, you can find anything. Who knows tomorrow, if that's going to exist.
So I've done this thing. I don't know if I have it still here at my desk. I do. Here we go. So I have downloaded YouTube. This isn't all of YouTube, but I download the videos that I'm like, oh, I need to know this. And if it's something that's a tutorial, things like that, I download those and I save them to my hard drive so that I have a library to go to when and if. Right?
Yes.
Hopefully I still have electricity. I've got my backup power and everything like that. But it's like,
right.
I've also got movies and DVDs and other stuff stacked up, but it's like, that's invaluable to have some of those resources. So if you find something, save it. Like, I've got binders full of papers. I've got books. I've got all these things that I've read, I've studied, but I keep them because I just can't part with them, because that's education that maybe the other people around me don't have, or stuff that I need to go back to.
Man, books, I had an old boss. Paper, don't forget. Mm-hmm. Like, I had, hard, I've got the same thing, thumb drives with a bunch of books on them, and, hard drives with books, but I also have my book collection that it's all hardback, paper, and that there, like, anything, I've got Mother Earth News, like tons of Mother Earth News magazines, Back to Basics, the hard covers. Back to Basics was a great book. I've had that thing since I was a kid, and I'm 48 now, I think. That thing, everything from building a log cabin to purifying water to, trapping and fish. I mean, it was just it's like an encyclopedia of being a woodsman. But, those paper books, that's something that people have really gotten away from as well. And I see quite a few books sitting there back there in the background.
Yeah, I've got some survival guides. I've got Back to Basics. I've got my favorite book, which is funny, is the old Boy Scout manual.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the best books. Don't sleep on that one. If you can find a copy of that, keep it. The 1970s and older, it's so full of good information. Yep.
The Boy Scouts, I've got some of those. A lot of the old military field manuals. I mean, I've got just I could probably stack it 8 feet in the air of just military manuals that I've got of anything and everything. But no, that's let's talk about, we've got a couple minutes before we're at the top of the hour to wrap up, but something that you've been pushing a lot too is is being self-employed, and that's something that I think true freedom, true preparedness, true self-reliance is making your own hours and working for yourself, and that's something that you've been doing a lot of here lately.
It's funny. I found a side hustle that has become like my obsession.
Right? I've noticed that. You got a ton of videos out on.
Oh my gosh. Like I've got 2 TikToks, like my prepping side and my side hustle side. And I've been doing affiliate marketing for years. And with prepping, that's my niche that I'm in. And so I've been marketing around those things. But what's funny is, like, when Trump got in the first time, our views and our business went poof, disappeared overnight. And I've watched companies in preparedness disappear. And then this year, when he got reelected, guess what happened? Our views and our revenue went, and I'm like, I'm going to get ahead of this. I'm going to look for a side hustle. So I've been looking and looking and looking. And I found one. This company's been around 2.5 years, and I partnered with them because I'm like, holy crap, this is good. They pay everybody off of the membership. It's like Costco online, right? But it's all nutritional supplements, beauty stuff right now. They've got pet stuff coming out. They've got water filters. That they had me at water filters. They're like, we've got water filters coming. I'm like, all right, let's get married. Like, I was like, let's
go.
I'm a prepper. I gotta have my water filters. But they've got digital products coming and just a whole bunch of cool stuff. But just think, like, Amazon started with books. These guys are expanding. So I got into this thing and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. Give the old college try. And my first 60 days was like, I'm going to do this for 60 days and see if it's worthwhile. And I surprised myself. It was so good.
Nice.
Since then, I've actually 10x'd what I accomplished in my first 60 days in my last 30 days. So I'm like 104 days into this business. And I'm like, holy crap, this thing's going to go through the roof for me. And I'm a big believer that until things go sideways, you've got to make the fire as big and hot as you can so that you can collect everything you need to, right? Get rich while you can. Absolutely. So that you can live and be free of the system. And if things don't go sideways, you're in a better situation. But if they do, it's stuff you can be okay walking away from a career. And so if you guys want to check it out, go to PrepperTalkRadio.com/good life. And I got an intro video there that I created for everybody, but it's PrepperTalkRadio.com/good life. And you guys can connect with me there, or you can connect with me on TikTok.
And for all y'all who are interested, scan that code right there, because that code will take you to PrepperTalkRadio.com. And then you can, that's where you've got your intro video and stuff as well. And it's got, so easy peasy. Scan that code and follow Prepper Talk Radio and check out what he's got going on. Because guys, true self-reliance, man, I want to tell you, when you can work for yourself is a huge deal. And as long as they're accepting those pieces of paper with dead people on it, man, make that dollar. Yep. But making somebody else rich, like, that's, I do it. If you can do it for yourself, do it for yourself. That gives you that true freedom to say, you know what? I don't have time to go work today for the man. I'm going to get this garden finished up because that's food, and food means less money spent at the grocery store, which means more money in your pocket. It's being able to shave stuff off like that makes the whole difference.
Amen.
Christy, I will tell her that you miss her face. Can't wait to see you guys in October. We are right there. Scott, lead us out of here, man. Give people something to chew on of where we're at in this day and age.
So I'm a very gospel-centric preparedness person. The signs of our times are very clear that soon the wicked will be destroying the wicked. Like, if you look at the words of Isaiah, you look in the book of Revelation, like we're get your popcorn, because the show's going to get hot soon. So
the veil is going to get lifted.
Yeah, the veil's going to get lifted. We're already seeing the Oz behind the curtain being exposed, and we're finding out what's really been going on all these years. Like, this is just the beginning. Get frosty, meaning keep those eyes open, keep that head on a swivel. Don't just be a bobblehead and go along with the world. be prepared, get prepared, and live the ready lifestyle, because I'm telling you, it's what's going to save you in the end is having just a little bit more than the next guy so you can get through it.
Absolutely. Well said. I'm not even going to add anything to it, Scott. Guys, listen to what this man's got to say. Check out PrepperTalk Radio. Scan that code. Hit Scott Stallings up on TikTok. He's on all the stuff: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I think you're on Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
We're on Instagram. I'm not real good at Instagram. But
yeah.
Just search for PrepperTalk Radio. You'll find me. I'm all over the place.
Same. So, jump on there, follow them up, check this stuff out. And, this is what it's about, guys, is tribe, building community, and interacting with one another, learning from each other, man. Build it before it gets stupid. Build it before it goes sideways. That's what it's about. So you guys know the drill. It was great, Scott. It was great to catch up. We need to do this again. We got to get you out here to North Carolina when you get situated, man.
Amen to that. Every time I see another thing for Mountain Readiness, I'm like, oh, I wish I could be at that one. Oh, soon.
We need you out here, and I need you out here so I can throw another class to the 90 plus classes a day. We'll make it 91 because you can teach something.
My wheelhouse is getting people their plan together. If you don't have a plan, here's the deal. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail, my friend.
Pal, on that note, stay safe, stay ready. We'll see you guys next Monday. Appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.